They called it a dead bird. The F-16 sat motionless on the tarmac for 5 days, draining patience and pride from the best techs in the Air Force. Wires snaked across the concrete, diagnostic beeps echoed under the hangar roof, and frustration turned into finger-pointing. Officers barked, deadlines loomed, and somewhere in the chaos just outside the edge of their vision, a janitor pushed a mop. I watched him every day, quiet, measured, like he belonged in a different time, while kids in shiny boots tripped over themselves pretending to be experts. That man, Leon Smoke Carter, moved like someone who'd already done it all and carried the scars to prove it. They laughed when I brought up his name. "Old man with a broom," one tech scoffed. "Yeah, maybe he can sweep the dust out of the circuit board," another joked. But I'd seen his eyes. Those weren't janitor eyes. Those were flightline eyes, tactical eyes, eyes that had once stared down a failing altimeter at 40,000 feet and somehow brought the bird home anyway. It started with a joke. "Always does. Try turning it off and on again," someone said, dead serious. Then boom, another fuse fried, another diagnostic looped. The colonel paced like a caged wolf, barking about budget cuts, optics, and joint operations with foreign brass. We were running out of time, and worse, we were running out of excuses. That evening I found Smoke in the break room. He was fixing a busted mop bucket, no joke, like it was a mission-critical repair. Bearings load, distribution, friction calculations for a bucket. That's when I realized this man couldn't not fix things. It was in his blood. So I asked him straight up, "You ever work on fighters?" He looked at me dead calm and said, "I ever breathe air." Next night I snuck him in. "Yeah, I know. Against protocol. Against orders, against everything, but I trusted my gut." That man didn't belong behind a mop. He belonged under a jet. He crawled under that F-16 like he was greeting an old friend. Didn't need a manual. Didn't even pause. Found the issue in under an hour. Someone had rerouted a grounding line years ago during a field op. Brilliant in the moment, but undocumented. No machine would ever spot it. But he did. He scribbled a fix, dropped it in the chief tech's inbox, and walked away without saying a word. Next morning, the jet responded like it hadn't in a week. Diagnostics lit up green across the board. The techs took credit, slapped each other on the back, called it a breakthrough. I kept my mouth shut, but I saw Smoke pushing his cart down the hallway, and he saw me. Just a nod. That's all he gave. That's all he needed. Until the colonel found the footage. He hit the roof, called Smoke a liability, said he had no business touching an $80 million aircraft, laughed at the idea that a janitor could fix what a dozen specialists couldn't. And then a foreign general stepped forward, one of the visiting brass from the joint op, Chinese, quiet, reserved. Until he saw Smoke. He saluted him, right there in front of everyone, said, "This man saved my life in '92. Enemy fire, damaged F-5. He patched me up with scrap metal and duct tape while mortars rained down. Got me airborne before evac even made it in. I never forgot him." You could hear a pin drop. Colonel's face went pale, like all the blood just vanished from his body, because suddenly the janitor wasn't just a nobody. He was a war hero, a master sergeant, a legend they'd swept under the rug and handed a mop. And just like that, the game changed. Smoke wasn't just allowed back into the hangar. He led the final calibration before the demonstration flight, walked in with his own toolbox, checked each connection by hand. Taught half the crew things they'd never learn from a manual, not in a lifetime. When that jet roared to life and took off smooth as silk, every person who had laughed, who had doubted, who had dismissed him stood frozen, ashamed. Some saluted, some couldn't even look him in the eye. The colonel, relieved of duty, shipped off to a desk job in Greenland, deserved every mile of that exile. Smoke didn't gloat, didn't brag, just cleaned up the tools and walked away. But that wasn't the end. Word spread fast. News outlets picked it up. Janitor saves military base from international embarrassment. Headlines framed it like a Cinderella story. But it wasn't. It was a reckoning. Soon, Command offered him a new role, technical advisor for a Pacific Joint Ops program. Said he'd be traveling again, teaching, repairing what no one else could. He said yes on one condition: they start a mentorship program for veterans, especially the ones overlooked, pushed aside, discarded. They called it the Huas Carter Initiative. And let me tell you, watching those young recruits line up to shake his hand, to learn from him, that was the real reward. The day he left, I asked him how it felt to be seen again after all those years. He looked at the tarmac eyes, squinting into the sun, and said, "Like I never left, like the sky's been waiting." That's the thing about people like Smoke. You can try to erase them, hide them behind uniforms and job titles, but they don't disappear. They endure. And when the moment comes, they rise. So, yeah, the F-16 flew again. But more than that, justice flew with it. What about the people around you? How many janitors are really experts, veterans, heroes hidden in plain sight? What would happen if just once we looked beyond the title and saw the person? Tell me in the comments, have you ever been overlooked or known someone like Smoke Carter? Don't forget to subscribe and share this story, because somewhere out there, another dead jet is waiting for the right hands.